Here we are in episode 22 of the Simple Success Podcast. This is financial life coaching from a happiness perspective. Coaching happiness. When you change you change everything. Last week we talked about what if I save too much. This week the pod is about simple but not easy. As my regular listeners know, the philosophy that underlies everything that I say, think, and do, at least the good things that I want everyone to know about, is that what we say is important. Of course, what we think is important, but language is important too. The most famous quote around that is something I've said before and will say again. That is, James Allen's, "As a man thinketh, so is he." Despite that, people, myself included, maybe yourself included, frame things, see what I did there, in the negative. Not that long ago, I heard a woman speaking on a show. Her approach was talking about the similarities she'd found between meditation and athletics. This is fine in theory, and I also believe there's a connection we can explore in the content of a different pod. It's what she said that bothers me. She said, "I believe that physical fitness is important, but you're not going to see me running any half marathons anytime soon." Since we don't really go for complex explanations, let's break that down into two groups of letters. I believe that physical fitness is important. Hard to disagree with that. She's making a statement regarding giving a high priority to a particular activity, and she's warding off those who might disagree by saying that it's what she believes. So far, so good. What bugs me is the next part of the quote. "But you're not going to see me running any half marathons soon," she said. First of all, there's the basic phenomena of the air quotes, but. None of us should ever head a sentence that way. None of us should ever use that word, not when speaking and certainly not as an investment strategy. But the geek English major stuff bears risk, so instead, my real peeve is the rest of it. Why would we not see her running a half marathon, soon or later? As you think, therefore you are. This is what the chief investment officer of your brain will say from now on. There's a podcast out there, one of the 40,000 podcasts that exist in the current landscape, as I've said, and in this case, one of the 5,000 or so about financial topics, as I've also said. I mention it here, and not by name, cue the no lawyers thing here, because in the title, before you listen to even a single word of the message, you're preconditioned with the idea that doing what they are about to suggest is simple, but it is not easy. How motivating is that? Now, I get that not everything is easy, and I get that some things are worth doing anyway for a higher calling of some sort. That's where things like courage and sacrifice come from. That's even where behavioral coaching comes from. But sometimes we just need easy. Doesn't matter how important it is. I could sit here and say, you should, all day long. Stamp the word important all over it, but that doesn't get us doing it. We need investment convictions. We need better instructions. We need a stick, like with tax day. Or, in the spirit of what we do here at Simple Success, we can go with encouraging you. Oh, sure, you could spend your time doing a study stream in the current reading debate asking whether or not dollar cost averaging is something for you, whether or not to annuitize, or the benefits of having a Roth IRA versus a traditional IRA. Maybe those things will matter. In fact, they may be even a bit of science when you get to optimizing what you're doing. I just personally prefer to go with getting something done and getting past the initial hurdles we can set up for ourselves. And I suspect this is also true of you, that you have realized that optimizing what you're doing isn't really optimal if you're just doing nothing. So, how do you, air quotes, thinketh? Do you thinketh in terms of success, or do you thinketh like nearly everyone else? Hello everyone, this is John with the Simple Success Podcast, financial life coaching from a happiness perspective, because we know you want to show us some serious love in return for the tremendous benefits you get from us. Please head over to https://anchor.fm simple success. That's one word, simple success support. There, you can choose from a $9.99 per month doer level of support, a $4.99 listener level, or a basic intro level of just 99 cents per month. That's not much when you compare it to a stockbroker, right? And this is so much more sensible. To leave us a voice message, which just might see the light of day in a future podcast, go to https://anchor.fm simple success. Again, one word, simple success message. I won't repeat those links because weird, and anyway, show notes. Simple but not easy. Once upon a time, our heroine, Kelly Carter, sat down to work through two things. Number one, simple. Number two, easy. It seemed to Kelly that anything which was simple was most probably easy, and anything that was easy was probably simple. Of course, this could just be content selection. To be fair, she thought this could be bad thinking. I mean, if it was good thinking, it wouldn't be possible for something to be simple but not easy. How would anyone get anyone else to do anything, she thought, and not for the first time out loud. Good thing for her, she'd recently read the book Joy by the Dalai Lama and Bishop Desmond Tutu, and she realized the wisdom of the saying that the Dalai Lama would laugh. Knowing this, she did something. She laughed at herself. This took a ton of pressure off the situation, and it allowed her to focus on the simple part, the doing part. Like Buffett's famous annual letter to shareholders, in which he goes over the valuation-driven approach, among other things, where he uses humor to turn emotional challenges into something more like spring break. The easy part then took care of itself. Her epiphany was her realization that once you start doing something about something you control, the whole idea of easy falls away. If you're doing it, hard or easy is no longer a question. You realize that may well have just been an excuse to avoid getting started. I don't mean that things don't need to be easy. Far from it. Any method which helps people get started, and I mean any method, that's the right method, legal department notwithstanding. I recently heard a similar challenge referred to as surrounding the football. The visual picture here is a group of players voluntarily hanging back from a possible fumble recovery while other teammates lead the charge. The volunteers do this because it puts them in a great place to be if the fumble squirts out in their direction, as it often does. The purpose of the metaphor, though, is a bit different. In this case, it means actively seeking but not being committed. It means trying all the different ways that might be successful, not just the one I'm advocating. That way, when it works, you know I wasn't evangelating, air quotes, the one right way, because the one right way is the one that works for you. Remember, this is your retirement picture we're talking about, your assets, your asset class opportunities. Kelly saw through the shield of hard and easy. She chose an easy-to-understand theory which would go a long way toward minimizing her risk picture. Simple is a serious topic, though, and we're named Simple Success for a reason. Yes, we talk a little bit about stocks and funds and other things which might or might not be in your portfolio, but it's about more than that. For truly effective instruction and a partnership which flows like water, keep your success simple. We'll be back with our call to action, our CTA, right after the break. In this Simple Success podcast, as well as in our webinars and masterclasses, we are very, very much going to want to hear your story. Well, to be real, I mean in future episodes of the podcast's webinars and masterclasses. This means you. Your participation is critical to our mutual simple success. It's important to know how you think, what you've thought, what you've tried, and what you've been unsure of trying. As we told you at the beginning, and as you also find in the show notes, we have ways you can contact us. It involves a special link where you can leave us a voice message which just might see the light of day in a future podcast. We may have an email address for you as well in the future, and we'll let you know when that happens. Together, we're going to make it great. We're going to do what even we didn't think possible. We know a lot about you already because we know ourselves. For example, we know that you know how to listen to our podcast. We also know that you probably know how to subscribe. The reason every podcast asks you this is because when you subscribe, you automatically download all future episodes of that podcast. This means better rankings, more attention from advertisers, and more money, and that means more and better stuff for you. So your motivation is simple and easy. Subscribe today, wherever you get your favorite podcasts. Oh, and don't just try to subscribe. There is no try, there is only do. Remember, this is financial life coaching from a happiness perspective. Right after this, we'll explore some more important details you should know. But for now, use your imagination to help create your story. Next week, we're going to look at another concept, and that is think and grow rich. That's so crazy, you know that got picked for me by my topics randomizer. I'm not pre-packaging this stuff, but instead making it relevant so we can all, me included, learn how to do this right. We're going to bring that into the world of investing, and it's going to be a great episode. But for now, remember, happy escargot day. I mean, all you need to do is practice, after which you'll get good. Gracias por escuchar. A la prochaine. For this podcast, the host and audio guy is me, John C. Brandy. My seagull example, and I'll explain that later, Shola Salako, fact checker Abraham Lincoln, French consultant Virginia Mitchell, media expert Favour Obasi-Ike, psychologist Sigmund Freud, rabbit hole advisor Dr. Marg Perrott, sound designer Gugliemo Marconi, Spanish consultant Cameron J.K. Brandy, and videographer Alfred Hitchcock. Music credit Cute by Ben Sound from www.freesound.org.